Hello Chillicothe, I'm Olivia Ray.
And I'm Josh Nyheiser, and this is your CAVS News Update.
From the studios of Chillicothe High School, this is your CAVS News Show.
Breaking the headlines recently, there was a shooting on December 2nd in San Bernardino, California. Syed Farouk and his wife Tashfeen Malik intruded a holiday party, shooting and killing 14 people, leaving 21 victims wounded. After further investigation of the couple's house, mass totals with bombs and weaponry was found. Authorities have examined Farouk's bank account and discovered that just before the shooting occurred, $28,500 was deposited, which appeared to be a loan. Around the time of the attack, Malik had posted on Facebook a pledge to the ISIS leader Abu Bakr. This case is still under further investigation. For an update on sports, here's Joshua Sparks.
Thanks guys, I'm Joshua Sparks with this news sports update. To kick off this update, we will head into boys basketball to get Field McLean December 8th with a final score of 61-39. They will be playing at home on December 18th at 7:30 against East Clinton. The girls basketball team will be traveling to Williamson High School, and their game will begin at 7:30 p.m. on December 19th. The swim team will dive into swim meet at the YMCA this 22nd at 30 p.m. Boys swim team defeated Washington Courthouse at the swim meet on December 8th, but sadly the girls fell behind by 12 points. The bowling team will take on Greenfield McLean on December 2nd at Shawnee Lanes at 4:30. On December 8th, our bowling won their matches against Logan Elm High School. The high scorers were Dawson Cook and Rihanna House. And finally, the wrestling team will travel to Washington Courthouse on December 19th. Their match will begin at 10 a.m. For more on results and schedules, you can visit the Chillicothe City School website and click on Athletics. Well, that's all I have for this week. I'm Josh, and now back to Josh and Olivia in the studio.
Back in September, Russia began to intervene in the Syrian civil war. On Tuesday, December 8th, Russia struck ISIS with a submarine-launched missile. In the last 3 days, Russia has flown over 300 stories over Syria and has struck more than 600 targets. Russia had informed Israel and the United States of the attacks beforehand. In October, Russia said it had fired 26 underwater cruise missiles from warships in the Caspian Sea, about 930 miles away from targets in Syria. To update you more on affairs involving the world, let's head to Ryan Kincaid with Did You Know?
Hi, and welcome to Did You Know? I'm Ryan Kincaid, and today we're going to talk about the totally straight border between the United States and Canada. What do I mean by that? Well, the border between our northern neighbor from Minnesota onwards is technically at the 49th parallel, which is one of those lines you see on the globe. But the physical border between us and them is far from straight. The border is in fact very jagged because the early explorers making the border couldn't exactly walk in a perfectly straight line for thousands of miles. That's what you get for not using GPS in the 1800s. Anyways, let's get on to the craziness of the border. One of the most notable border irregularities is the small tick of Minnesota that reaches into Manitoba. That is called the Lake of the Woods, and it's the result of an early surveying accident. Before the border was thought up, the Lake of the Woods was surveyed with its northwest corner at the 49th parallel. However, when the border was drawn, it was discovered that the lake is bigger than previously thought, so they kept marking the border to the northwest quarter, then dropping straight down to meet the 49th parallel. The other irregularity occurs when the border curves to keep all of Vancouver Island in Canadian waters. What they missed, however, was a small piece of Canadian mainland on the American side of the border, called Point Roberts, which is home to over 1,000 Americans and has no high school. So parents have to cross the Canadian border 8 times every day to send their kid to high school in mainland Washington and take them home. Now, while there are a few more disputed areas between our great nations, I'm afraid this is all the time I have for today. So, let's send it back to the newsroom.
With everyone dreaming of a white Christmas, people will be happy to know that carbon dioxide emissions have dropped over the course of 2015. Scientists are unsure whether this is a fluke or if there's an actual hope of seeing a greener planet as time progresses. Emissions have dropped mainly due to a sudden plunge in China's carbon dioxide emissions, which at one point the smog was so bad that certain cities had schools canceled and laws were pressed upon factories. Only time will tell how long this amazing feat will hold out. For more things to brighten your Christmas, let's go to Elise Jones and Audrey Huggins with Do It Yourself.
Hello, I'm Audrey Huggins.
And I'm Elise Jones. And this week on DIY, we are making a candy sleigh.
This could be great for a gift or just for decorations.
Make sure to plug your hot glue gun in ahead of time to make sure it's hot enough.
The things you will need are 2 candy canes, a Kit Kat bar, 10 mini Hershey's, a ribbon of your choice, and a cute bow.
The first thing you do is glue the Kit Kat to the candy canes.
Next, you take your mini Hershey's and stack them in a pyramid. First 4. Then 3. Then 2. And 1 on top.
Next, you tie the ribbon around the sleigh. Put a little bit of glue on the bottom of the ribbon.
To finish it all off, top it with a bow. That's all for this week. Hope you enjoyed making this.
If you make any of our DIY projects, we want to see them. Please post the photos to our CAVS News Facebook page so that way we can show them on our next show. Now back to Olivia and Josh in the studio.
On Thursday, December 3rd, CCSD hosted Community Day, a lovely day filled with fun and family. At Community Day, you can do everything from getting your face painted to sitting on Santa's lap. Let's look at some footage of the event.
My name is John Saxton, and I'm the superintendent of the Chillicothe City Schools. This is my 5th year as your superintendent, and very happy to welcome all of you here this evening to our 2nd annual Community Night.
The second installment of Chillicothe High School's annual Community Day was a huge success. The event helped hundreds of people in the community with a variety of things such as food, warm winter clothing, haircuts, and personal hygiene products such as soap, toothbrushes, and deodorant. The event began with a raffle. We gave away bikes, free pizza coupons, and many different gift cards for places such as Walmart and Kohl's. The event also held some great activities. Our art students did free face painting, and the children weren't the only people enjoying that. There were arts and crafts where the swim team taught the children to make snowflakes and candy cane reindeer. Our very own CAVS performed various Christmas songs to keep the joy of Christmas in the air.
What's your name?
Michelle.
Michelle? How old are you, Michelle?
9.
9? What school do you go to?
Alan.
Alan. Who is your teacher?
Miss Fry.
Miss Fry. You like Miss Fry?
Yes.
She's nice, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. She's funny, too.
Yes.
Do you know what you want for Christmas?
Yes.
What do you want?
A pet snake.
A pet snake. Is that why you have it on your face?
Yes.
Is that right? Have you had a pet snake before?
No.
You know the little boy that was right before you wanted a mouse, right?
He's my brother.
Oh.
I asked Mrs. Clark if we could have the CAVS come and sing as part of Community Day. Spreading Christmas cheer as a choir is something that we love to do, and it was a lot of fun to practice our songs before a friendly audience, and especially in front of elementary students.
A couple years ago, we came up with the idea for a Community Day that would support the needy families of Chillicothe. We know from an economically disadvantaged standpoint, we do have a high percentage of students who come from households who are living below the poverty line, and oftentimes when you're living below the poverty line, you're struggling with basic needs and necessities, especially around the winter months and around the holiday times. So Community Day is an important event. It's an important event to show the community we care. We're more than just a school system, we're a school community, and it's important that we show our community how we feel about them.
So basically my role is to actually coordinate the entire event. So I'm the person who sent out the letters asking for help from community members. I've gone out and actually have bought supplies such as coats and hats and gloves and shoes. Sometimes people will give us donations. Sometimes we have federal money that we're able to use for events like this. And so I've had an opportunity to go out and purchase some of those items that you see here tonight. I also had an opportunity, as I said, to make a lot of contact with various businesses and organizations. And basically that's what I do.
So, the idea and the thought process was the opportunity to put together a day through contacting local businesses, contacting just community members in general that can have the opportunity to provide items to more needy families. And the Community Day event was kind of born. Our Lisa Clark, a middle school teacher, does an amazing job with organizing this. We have so many local businesses who promote it and are here tonight to provide free haircuts, free food, free gifts, free opportunities for our students and for needy families around Chillicothe.
This is the second year that Chillicothe City School District has had our Community Day event, and it's a chance for us to give back to a community that's been very good to this school district. This district has passed levies. They just passed a levy to build 2 new elementary schools, and so anything that we can do for our district, and it helps bring our district together. Clearly there's a need for this. As you can see behind me, there's a large gathering, as there was last year, of people needing these services, but we're so thankful to have so many organizations join us this year, like they did last year, who provide a lot of needed services to our community.
Hi everybody, I'm Luke Feeney. Really excited to be here at Chillicothe's Community Day. I think you can probably see around me that it's a massive success. I think we have more people here than we had on Black Friday. I'm really excited to be down here tonight. I'm excited about what this does for the community. I'm excited about seeing the kids happy, the community turning out. I think it's a great thing, and I think it's going to be a great thing for years to come. Thank you for supporting the community. Thank you for supporting the schools. Keep up the good work.
Now, my group of Teen Institute members, high school kids from 9th grade through 12th grade, have volunteered their services here tonight, and some of them were able to brave the cold out there in order to make sure that the parking situation was not a situation of discombobulation.
I've been here since 2:15 along with a couple of other members of TI. I left for a little while to go to basketball, but I have come back to help, and Community Day is a great way to help our community. I really think it helps a lot of other people, so I think we should continue this.
I like Community Day because it helps support families who actually need stuff. I think they should keep doing Community Day because it can help the people in the future to have a good time and get some food and get some blankets and all kinds of cool stuff.
We thank everyone who helped to make this event so successful. Now let's go back to Josh and Olivia in the studio.
Our own local Chillicothe Civic Theater is putting on the musical Meet Me in St. Louis at the Majestic. The cast features some of CHS's very own actors. We here at CAVS News have a special feature and behind-the-scenes look at the play. Let's take a look.
This weekend, Chillicothe Civic Theater will be presenting Meet Me in St. Louis, a Broadway musical based on the classic Judy Garland film. CAVS News reporters stopped by their rehearsals this week to get an inside look at what sets this production apart from the usual Christmas play.
I would say that with the addition of our wonderful music director, John Neff, he has really brought this production farther than I thought we were going to get. I would say that through his music direction has set this production apart from the rest of CCT Productions.
It's a very fun show. It's very family-oriented in terms of it. It really focuses on the family and their love, and then the little bit of hiccups that go along with surprise news that Father provides. We've had some hiccups along the way getting the production together, but we have really pulled together so strongly as a group to get over the obstacles that we've encountered with this show. And I think you can really tell how hard we've worked on it to get it pulled together because of all of these things we've had to overcome. So that's certainly one thing that's a little bit different this time.
What sets us apart is probably the talent of the entire cast. Like everyone, including the chorus, is just phenomenal when they're on stage. They have great stage presence. We have a lot of great singers, so the talent is what sets it apart, I think.
Well, this one, we've done musicals before. Each one has its own flavor, and this one, I guess, has quite a few of the songs that everybody knows and has heard before, but can't quite put their finger on where it came from. I did not know that Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas was actually written for this, and the trolley song, which everybody has heard at some point, so there'll be a lot of familiar music that people will hear.
This is the first Christmas play I've done, so that brings a whole new excitement to it. A fantastic Christmas production. I'm so glad CCT chose to do this. It's a fantastic show that shows family, friendship, love.
The production, which features a wide cast of characters, also allowed the actors to focus in on some of their favorite experiences working with well-known material.
I haven't seen the movie, so I really don't have any preconceived notions. I've seen a few clips, and I hope I can be a little more entertaining.
Just getting to work with so many great people. This is the first musical that I've done with CCT, and it's been a great experience just from all of the wonderful people that are involved.
This production, I get to be in it playing opposite my wife and my little daughter. She will play Tootie, and my wife is Mrs. Smith, and so it's kind of been a family affair, and it's made it just special to us.
Rehearsing, it's really nice when everything comes together for the first time or for the 10th time. It's a good feeling to get things down in practice.
Also featured in the cast is Chillicothe High School's own Zoe Robinson, who learned some valuable lessons working in a community theater production.
Well, I started when I was in 3rd grade at WCCS High School, or WCCS, in Rock Hill, South Carolina, for my first musical, which was Sound of Music. And then from then on, I have been in several productions and several musicals, and I have also worked both crew and cast in plays before. Oh, this is very different. It's very different from being in a high school production, because normally with high school production, you have the students help with the sets and stuff, and this is pretty much all adults. And so you have, you're there, how do you say it? You hand them stuff. They do the most of the work, but you hand them stuff. And mostly with high school productions, it's kind of you do the work yourself. And also in the makeup room, because I worked with stage makeup also, with the makeup room, you don't bring your own makeup. You have the makeup that's provided for you, or you do your makeup at home. And there's people to do your makeup, there's people to dress you, get costumes, everything like that. So we're a big family. It's just, it's not one, you take care of your own stuff. It's people take care of it for you.
Even the best shows have their share of ups and downs, and Meet Me in St. Louis was no exception. From a change in directors to cast health issues, Meet Me in St. Louis has certainly tested the endurance of this amazing cast and crew.
Well, so early on, the director that chose the show was not able to direct it. So Renee stepped up and has directed the show. With that, we've lost a few cast members along the way. With Tom going down late, who was going to play Grandpa, and Mike stepped up and is doing a fantastic job as Grandpa.
Well, I didn't have any personal difficulties, but the show has seen many personal difficulties. We had some people had to drop out for health reasons, part of the way through. We had a music director change part of the way through, and but we've all held together, and I think it's going to be a great show.
Well, being dance captain, probably. I had to learn every dance in the show, and that was a little difficult, especially since I'm not in 95% of them.
We've had several changes in cast. We've had just some issues getting up to set and just transitions and some time crunches, but I guess that's common to every play one way or another.
I've kind of been a little bit of the babysitter because I'm trying to do my role, and then there's little ones in the production as well. So it's kind of like when you're not on stage, you're watching them, which I don't mind. I love children, but sometimes it gets a little bit complicated when you have to scene change and do a costume change, and then a little one's pulling on you and stuff like that.
I would have to say that this is the most challenging production, not necessarily in the actual act of putting it on, but all the challenges that were put before us. We had a cast member have a heart attack. We've had a couple of deaths from family members of our cast members, and the first time we actually had the full cast together was Monday night.
Despite the challenges that the cast and crew faced, there was one aspect of the production that they could all agree on.
The actors, oh my gosh, they're so talented. They're the most talented people I've ever worked with. We could literally have an empty stage and have them sing and dance and act on the stage, and it would still be a wonderful production.
I would say the cast has really come together in a strong way for this cast. We've had a lot of ups, we've had a lot of downs preparing for this show, but the cast has come closer and closer together on each little bump, and is going to make a really great show now.
I really enjoy the story, and you know, being part of the family and how much they love each other is just really fun. It's just a really fun show. Everybody enjoys being with each other on stage, and you know, it just seems a little bit different than our typical show.
When asked what they hope to see in their audience's reactions this weekend, the cast and crew focused on comedy, toe tapping, and of course, an appreciation of the value of being a family.
I hope families come out to see this because it is a family-oriented show. It's a great Christmas show. If you've seen the movie, you'll love the play. So I think the older crowd will love it because they'll remember the movie, and the younger crowd will start a new phase of love for sure.
I hope that we have a great reaction. I hope that people leave the theater singing all the songs and go and tell other people about it, and so I hope we get more crowds here the other nights.
The story is kind of a family that's settled in, and then all of a sudden there's some change taking place. And I hope everybody can relate to, you'd like everything to just go smoothly, but it never does. So just if people come from, you know, looking at how people work through, and the important thing is that as a family, they stay together.
I hope to get a lot of laughter out of the crowd. That's the goal.
Sold out crowds, standing ovations, and those kinds of things.
Our motto actually has been, it's gonna be great. And we've repeated that, sometimes sarcastically when things didn't go right, but we would always say, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be great. And it's going to be great. We know it is. I've always known this show is going to be great. And
You have a mighty strong grip.
it's something you don't want to miss.
There's mixed emotions on that, honestly. I want there to be some comedy, but I also want the audience to realize that even though we are playing a family still has issues, and they're going to have issues. They're going to have disagreements, they're going to have people picking on each other. They're going to have people not agreeing. They're going to have people fighting even, and that's what families are. That's what families do. So I think I want them to take away that even though there's hardships, even though there's chaos in the world, that you still have your family and you can always come home.
Donald Trump has doubled his lead in the Republican polls this week while in New Hampshire. Trump is in first place with 32% of the vote, Rubio in second with 14%, followed by Christie with 9%, Bush with 8%, Ohio Governor John Kasich with 7%, Cruz with 6%, and Fiorina and Carson both with 5%. Now for more pop culture news, let's go to Parker Tracy with Pop Fusion.
Hi, I'm Parker Tracy, and welcome to Pop Fusion. Let me tell you, you're in for a whale of a time this week. Play the intro. Let's start off with the top 5 songs of this week. At number 5, we have The Hills by The Weeknd. At number 4, we have What Do You Mean by Justin Bieber. At number 3, we have Hotline Bling by Drake. At number 2, we have Sorry by Justin Bieber. And at number 1, we have Hello by Adele. Remember, if you want to check out the current top 100, check out Billboard.com. In movie news, In the Heart of the Sea was released recently. This movie is based around the story that inspired the famous novel by the name of Moby Dick. In short, the movie is about a whaling crew who is attacked by the massive creature and is stranded out at sea for 90 days. This tale shows the whalers' battle for survival against a gargantuan creature. This movie is rated PG-13. I'll tell you right now, I would not be caught dead or alive out on one of those boats. I do not trust them at all. Some other movie news that I found interesting that is pretty good for Star Wars fans. The character known as Jar Jar Binks has been confirmed by the director that he will not appear in The Force Awakens. This character has gained notoriety among Star Wars fans since his appearance in the Star Wars prequels, and it's not very hard to see why. So rejoice, fans, for he's not gonna be in the movie, as he would say. That was bad. Now on to a little bit of gaming news. Does anyone remember the old 2D fighting game known as Shaq Fu? Probably not. Well, it seems like the game is being resurrected. The game Shaq Fu: A Legend Reborn has been successfully crowdfunded, reaching its goal of over $450,000. This game is a beat-em-up style game featuring Shaquille O'Neal himself as the protagonist. Some backers who put enough money into it can actually meet Shaq himself. The creators of this game want it to become an instant classic and give the people what they say the original game should have been. This game will be made available for PS4, Wii U, PS3, Xbox One, and Xbox 360, as well as a version for PC. Well, I'm gonna go try and write better jokes. Back to my friends in the studio.
Fantasy football is very popular among people around the world. CAVS News' very own Audrey Huggins received some interviews with fantasy football players to see what it's like playing fantasy football.
We interviewed some of the teachers and students here at Chillicothe High School about their fantasy football teams. Here's what they had to say about their experience.
This is my 6th year playing. We have some friends that I work with that we like to just for fun do that, and so it's my 6th year, so I'm certainly not an expert, but I guess I'm not a rookie either. So.
Me personally, about 2 or 3 years maybe. My dad's done it about 6. I've helped him before, but the last couple of years I've just started doing my own.
I'm not very experienced. This is only my 2nd year playing. Last year I came in, I think, 6th place, but I'm doing pretty good this year.
We also found out that different people have very different strategies when they pick their fantasy football teams.
You know, it depends on the league that I'm in. If I'm in a PPR league, like I just said, my brother-in-law's league has it set up where running backs get a point of carry, quarterbacks get a point of completion, and receivers get 2 points per reception. So my first strategy is to pick a running back who gets who receives a lot of passes, who gets a lot of receptions. That's why on my team this year I have Le'Veon Bell, Matt Forte, and Arian Foster, and that's why I'm in first place in that league.
The strategies that I have when I pick my team is just to basically see how good they are, how good they play, and how many points they're projected to score.
When I'm picking my fantasy team, I tend to always listen to some of the experts first to see who they say will have a good year or so and so on. I also like to see who's questionable, who's healthy this year, and who's ready to play.
Yeah, I think you've got to start with trying to get someone, or their quarterback or a running back, that really can get you a lot of points. Fantasy football is all about offense, so who can score the most touchdowns. I think you got to be really careful, whoever runs your league though, and how they set up the actual point system. Because some leagues are set up, they're really quarterback friendly. Some leagues are set up to be really running back friendly, depending on how many touchdowns somebody scores, how many yards passing they have per game or rushing they have per game. But once you know the way your league parameters are set up, I think it's important to get a really, really good top-rate running back or quarterback early on, because that's who's going to get you your most points.
Even though these experienced players had a lot to say about fantasy football, they were still able to give great advice for the first-time fantasy players.
First thing, you gotta have a cool name. All right, you gotta come up with something catchy, something that's like not necessarily intimidating, but it's got to be kind of clever. The second thing is, it seems pretty simple, but know your rules. Different leagues have different rules, so make sure that you don't hurt yourself right off the bat by making a stupid decision. And then really after that, basically you can go off of, to get yourself started, you can go off of the projections that like ESPN or Yahoo, whatever, they give you projections. It's like if you're not really sure how good a player is, you can at least start there. And then after that, if you really want to get serious about it, you can follow the news, see which players are injured, and then check the matchups from there.
Join a league where you're with friends. That's what makes it fun. If you don't know the people, then it's not near as much fun. So that's the big thing with me, is I'm doing it for fun, so I make sure I do it with friends.
I remember playing for the first time, and I held off from playing for a long time because I thought it was just one of those things that were way too complicated, and I had to stare at spreadsheets forever. So for the advice that I would give to somebody that's playing for the first time, I would probably say it's not that hard. It's super easy to play. It's really easy to get used to. It's pretty fun. So yeah, just sign up and get a team together, and get a bunch of guys together, and usually it's just one of those things that you do in your free time while you're watching the NFL game, anyway. So that's how I would tell somebody, get started.
As you can see, many of the teachers and students enjoy playing fantasy football.
That's all we have for this week. I'm Olivia Ray.
And I'm Josh Nyheiser. Have a fun and safe weekend, Chillicothe.
People are throwing water bottles at me.